My 35 male, mother's new fiance wants me to call him Dad. He's 24. How do I navigate this? Post by throwaway. For some background, my dad died when I was 19, leaving my mum with me and my 2 siblings. I'm the oldest. It took some time, but eventually my mum started dating again. So the men she's been dating have been getting younger and younger, and I've never had a problem with that. She's been very open with me and my siblings that she wants to get married again, and we've always been very supportive. The latest guy is by far the most serious. They've been dating since around June last year. He proposed at the start of autumn, and they want to get married next summer. Again, me and my siblings are fine with this because it's her life and we trust him. He's a nice guy, and they clearly love each other. So, long story short, this weekend, her fiance, let's call him Phil, calls me up and asks if I can come over. I said, yeah, sure, I'll be over after work. I assumed he just needed some help with some DIY work they're doing. Anyway, when I get there, he calls me Sport and says, we need to talk. I should mention, this is something he does to me and my brother, calling us things like kid, sport, scout, little buddy, or my personal favourite, calling us red and blue, seemingly out of nowhere. My brother is 30, by the way. He tried it with my little sister, 28 female too, calling her princess, but stopped when she just stared at him. So the thing with Phil is that he reminds me a lot of Charlie's character in Horrible Bosses, in that his sole ambition has always been to meet a girl, get married, and have a family. When he told me and my brother this, my brother made a joke about how our mother, 58 female, might come up a little bit short on that last part. He got very upset by this, but they made up after. Anyway, so I get there and ask if my mum's around, and he says no, it's just him, and that we really need to talk man to man. I say, sure, and then he starts going on and on about how he's always wanted to be a father and raise a son to call his own. And then he drops this bombshell. Now, I know I could never replace your father, the man who made you, but it would mean the world to me if you could call me Dad. I'll admit, I sniggered a little, and then I knew he was serious because he looked like he was about to cry. I asked if he really meant it, and he got really emotional and started talking about what it means to be a man, and how his purpose is to have and provide for a family, and how he wants me and my siblings to be part of that family. He reiterated that he'll never replace my father, and this did rub me the wrong way a bit, but he's ready to step up and be my dad and provide for and protect me and my siblings. And I'm just sitting there like, dude, I'm a decade older than you, and I live in a separate house. I don't need providing for, and even if I did, I don't think a guy a third of my age who works part-time at a warehouse is the man to do it. I was in shock, so I just said, okay, and he gets all emotional again, but in a happy way, talking about how he wants to go camping or to a baseball game. I don't even like baseball. And how he just joined the Lions this year and wants to bring me along as his boy, which just feels so surreal to me because, again, I'm 10 years older than this guy. Anyway, I ended up by saying, this has gotten a little bit too weird for me and I'm going home. He got very upset. I left, called my brother, and he agreed it sounded weird as hell. Later my mum called me and she said she wasn't disappointed but admitted it made him very upset and depressed. I told her that if he's embarrassed, he doesn't need to be. I get he's excited about the marriage and we can just laugh this off as a funny story. She then said that that wasn't what he was upset about, that he, and her too a little bit, is upset about the fact that he poured his heart out and I rejected him. She said, yeah, it's a bit kooky, but this is how he proves to himself that he's a man. I guess I got a bit angry and said something like, first off, it's not my job to certify what's between his legs. And second, this doesn't prove he's a man, it just proves that he's a nut job. I apologised immediately, but she said she didn't want to hear it and hung up on me. She called back 10 minutes later, and we apologised. But then she begged me to just go along with it until he had some kids to call his own. she sort of let slip that they plan to try IVF treatment because she's not ready to give up on being a mum just yet. And while I have my own thoughts about whether or not that's a good idea, it's her business. We finished up fine, and I reiterated that I supported her, and she agreed it was definitely a stressful situation for me, but begged me to at least consider it, which leads me to here. I did think it over, and obviously I'm going to say no. I had a dad, and he died. Rest in peace, Dad. And he's the only dad I've ever needed or ever wanted, and I'll never bestow that title on anyone else. But clearly, this means a lot to him, for some reason. And I love my mum, so I want to try and minimize the damage. But how can I make it clear to them, as painlessly as possible, that I think this is weird and borderline offensive? I don't really want to rip the band-aid off, because I fear what it might do to the family. Edit. As some people were asking, no, he hasn't got access to my mum's money or anything like that. She rents the house, and it came pre-furnished. She has no real assets, and doesn't make a lot of money anyway, so I doubt that's the motive. I just found out that my boyfriend's daughter is older than me. Post by Call Me Megs too. I'm 25, and my boyfriend is 46. I've been dating my boyfriend for several months now, and I was aware that he had a child from a previous relationship, but I knew virtually nothing about her. He seemed to be very protective over her, and particularly sensitive discussing anything related to his previous marriage, so I never pushed him on it. He also never mentioned his daughter's age, or when he had her. I was under the impression that it must have happened during his marriage, which started and ended during his mid to late 30s. However, recently I learned through a friend that his daughter is 2 years older than me. I'm not sure why I feel so shocked and disgusted, because technically speaking, we're all adults here. I'm just weirded out that he never thought to mention this to me before. But wouldn't it be weirder if he said, you know, you're younger than my daughter? Creepy. Moreover, without getting into too much detail on our sex life, he has a daddy kink. I have it too, and it's been great and fun to explore that with him as a kind of roleplay thing. But now that I know that he legitimately has a daughter my age, it's a little unsettling to me. I'm not sure how to feel or what to do next because he never outright lied, but I feel like he withheld information that I definitely would have liked to know before doing what we did. Girl, he's more than 2 decades older than you. How are you shocked? This to me is super creepy. I really hope she doesn't look like his daughter. Alright, let's end with a nice wholesome story. Am I the a-hole for going on a second date with a girl that my friend set me up with as a prank? Posted by Throwaway. I, 28 male, am a medical resident, so I barely have time to sleep, let alone date. My friends, also in med school, have been pushing me to go out more, insisting that I need a break from the grind. A few weeks ago, they set me up on a blind date. They wouldn't stop talking about how perfect this girl was for me, so I thought, why not? I met Emily, 26 female, at the restaurant, and right away, I could tell that she wasn't what my friends probably expected me to go for. Emily's not super skinny. In fact, she's a little bit chubby, but honestly, I thought she was really cute. She had this amazing smile, and the way she laughed just made me want to keep the conversation going. She's studying geology, and she was so passionate about her work, talking about volcanic rock formations like it was the coolest thing ever. And by the end of the night, I agreed. It was a lot more fun than talking about catheters. The best part was how comfortable the date felt. We both found out that we're autistic, both late diagnosed, and we mask a lot, meaning that we're used to putting on a social act to fit in. But with each other, it felt like we didn't have to pretend so much, and that made the whole evening feel easy. It wasn't like most dates, where you're constantly trying to impress the other person. We just clicked. Physically, Emily wasn't the type my friends thought I'd be into, but I didn't care at all. She's sweet, funny, and I had an amazing time with her. By the end of the night, we exchanged numbers, and we've been texting pretty regularly since. A few days later though, I got a really sad message from Emily. Turns out, my friends told her that they set us up as a prank. That they set me up with her because they thought she wasn't my type, and that they picked her specifically because she's chubby and not what they'd call conventionally attractive, thinking it'd be funny to see how I'd react? Wow, so they basically just straight up called her ugly. Why are they going out of their way to tell her this? That's just nasty. All of it. Emily was obviously hurt and texted me apologizing for not being what I expected. She said she understood if I didn't want to talk to her anymore. She was wrong. I think she's beautiful, body and spirit. To be honest, she's my new type. I was furious when I found out what my friends had done. I immediately apologized to Emily, telling her that my friends were idiots and that I genuinely enjoyed our date. I reassured her that I wasn't texting her out of pity and that I thought she was awesome. After we talked it out, I asked her if she'd like to go on another date, just the two of us, with no pranks or games this time. And she said yes. Now my friends are pissed at me. They're saying that I ruined the joke and that I'm being weird for asking her out again. They're acting like the whole thing was just harmless fun and can't believe that I'm going on a second date with someone who, to them, was supposed to be the punchline. They even joked that I'm only doing it because I feel bad. But that's not it at all. I really like Emily. I'm looking forward to seeing her again. And I don't see why I should let their prank dictate how I feel. So now I'm getting a ton of backlash, and my friends think I'm the a-hole for continuing to see her. I'm so confused. They keep saying that it's my autism and that I just don't get it. Am I the a-hole? They're just mad because you ruined the bullying, not the joke. No, you're not the a-hole for screwing up their attempts to hurt someone. Do you really want friends like that? Ditch the friends, keep the girl.